Hi, welcome to 2020 Tasty Treats with GourmetQuilter. I'm Susan Clare, GourmetQuilter, and we're doing some applique at the moment with a whole series of 20 different appliques, one each day for 20 days, and we are on day 11, which means we're on applique number 11. So we're doing a series all about things you might find in the sewing room. So the first 10 are already up here. We've been very busy equipping our sewing room and it's staying beautifully tidy, so that's always a good thing. So we're going to go ahead now and do number 11. There is a pattern if you're interested. It's a downloadable pattern through GourmetQuilter.com. It's going to look something like this. We're doing a little needle book this time as an applique. And so each day there's a new download as we go through for the 20 days. As I said, this is day 11. The pattern is going to be numbered and things so that it'll help you with order of placement with things as well. And I'm just going to show you how I've gone about doing all this applique and the writing and things. So I'm actually writing where it says needles. I'm actually going to do that with a marking pen. You could stitch it, you could embroider it, there's lots of different things you could do. I'm doing it this way. So I'm going to turn my light box on. So I've already marked on the back of my piece of paper, which is with the fusible web, is the writing. And so I'm just wanting that to show through, and I can see through here, and I've got one of these permanent marking pens. So I've already done most of it, but I've left the S to do. So I'm just going to draw over that, and then I'm going to come back and go over it again, so that just gives it a little bit more definition. So not too heavy, but I think that's looking pretty good. So that piece is already done. So the other thing we do need to do, there's some little button flowers that go onto the needle book here, and they have little button holes, so I've marked those. I've already done those exactly the same way. I've used my little marking pen and I've marked the little holes, and I've also just marked a little stitch as if they were stitched across. So I've done all three of the buttons for that. Also, and so those little buttons are little button flowers, so they've got little stems that we're going to I'm just going to stitch them. Again, you could embroider them or mark them with something else, but it's not easy to mark onto darker fabrics with pens, lighter pens. You can use a white gel pen or a white chalk marker, and I've just used a very fine white marking pen here to mark my lines. So I was able to find, I can see them here. I actually flipped it over to get them around the right way, and I was able to just manage enough to get the lines in through. It wasn't super easy because this is quite dark, but it is entirely possible to mark the lines through just with a lightweight white marker, because I'm going to stitch them when I'm doing the applique, and they're going to have the little flowers on to make little button flowers. And so that's going on there. The other thing we need to do is we can position all this on the fabric on the background now. And it's got a little stitched back on the needle book. So this comes forward a little bit because this is the back page that I've already got that down, and that's just a little bit shorter than the front. This is coming across in front over on the corner there. That's all looking pretty good. We can pop this on so that we get everything that we want in place. That can sit there. We're going to stitch around that. And then we've got these little flowers that can go on their little stems here. And the spine has got a little bit of stitching on this needle book. So we need to mark that so that we can stitch it as well. So I'm going to go back here now, and I'm going to position this so that I can see my stitching line will show through because of the light box. And so I can pop this up against it there. And now I just want to mark this fairly lightly with a pencil because I'm going to be doing it as stitching, and I don't want a heavy mark in case I don't stitch in exactly the same line. You could embroider this, you could mark it with a pen, you could do lots of things. I'm going to free motion stitch it as I do the applique. So I think that's looking pretty good. I've got enough. It's possibly a bit faint, but I can see it for when I'm stitching. So I'm going to turn that off and iron all that in place. And because I'm free motioning, I need a stabilizer, so I'm popping it on just a piece of light cotton batting to help stabilize it. And now I'm going to go to the sewing machine, and there's a little bit to do on this needle book, but that's okay. And I think I'm going to go all the way around the actual needle book first. So I'm going to start with this little back bit, and then I can go onto that. I'm going to start over here. I'm just free motion stitching, just a little straight stitch just near the edge of the applique. I'm going to snip my thread end off. So I'm going to go all the way around the needle book itself first, before I start doing any of the decorative work. Then everything is properly in place and I've got little lines to come to if I need to. So now I'm here, and I think what I'm going to do now is come down the spine and do this stitching that's off the back there to indicate that it's sort of stitched together. So I'm just going to come down and do this. And I'm going to come back up and go over it again. Now I'm not too worried if I don't go exactly on the line, because it adds a little bit of extra dimension. And while I'm here, I think I'm going to do the little bow part, and I think the same thing, I'm going to go around each piece twice, but not necessarily exactly on that line. This is kind of a fun sort of sketching way of doing a little bit of decorative drawing with your sewing machine. And then I probably need to finish off and start doing something else. So I might come around the needle now. Now we've got a choice. If this was actually a piece of felt with a little pinked edge, you probably wouldn't stitch all the way around the edge. You'd have a line of sewing inside there. But I think because it's got raw edges, I'm actually going to go all the way around close to that edge with a little stitch. So I think that's kind of fun. So I might continue doing that because it's pretty much the same for a little while, and then I'll come back and show you the next bit. So I've gone around, I've finished going around the needles, and I've actually gone around the little tiny buttons as well, but I haven't done the stems yet. I've changed thread, so I've got a pale green thread because the darker grey wasn't going to show up on that. So now I just need to do these little stems and leaves. So that's really only the same sort of thing as we've been doing. Come up the stem, maybe go over it a couple of times, and then just outline these little leaves. And snip my thread out of the way because it's getting in my way. I find if I go around it a couple of times, then it just makes it stand out a little bit better. So we'll do the others while we're here, and then we'll be all finished. And there we go. Quite exciting, really. I change the thread because that stands out much better than the grey would have done. So we're ready to give that a quick press and pop it up in our sewing room on the wall. So we've got somewhere to keep our needles, we've got something to thread in our needles, we've got some embroidery, we've got a whole lot going on in this sewing room. What a great place to be. So that was applique number 11 in the series. I will see you again with sewing room applique number 12.